Okay, so this is African art. Here's vocabulary. You don't necessarily have to like write it down, but just so that way you sort of know what's going on with it. There's a cire perdu process. It's a lost wax process. So they mold a figure in clay, and then they cover it with wax, and then it's recovered with clay, and they put it into a kiln, and then whenever they do that, the wax melts, and then there's a channel between the two layers, and so that's like used as a mold for liquid metal. And the example is the benign head of a woman, and so we'll look at that later on. And the other two things is a fetish. It is an object believed to have a magical power or have magical powers. And then scarification, which is the scarring of skin. And a pattern, you do that by cutting yourself with a knife, and then once the cut heals, a raised pattern is created and it's painted. Why? Because they're African. And so the example of that is like the ivory belt mask, which we'll also look at. Chief African civilizations, there's the Nok, which is from 500 BCE to 200 CE, and that's in Nigeria. Then the Great Zimbabwe, from 11th to 12th century, and that's in Zimbabwe. The Ife culture, which is 11th to 12th century, and that's in Nigeria. And then Aksum, from 1200 to 1527 in Ethiopia. And the Benin, I don't know if it's Benin or Benin or Benin. Benin. The Benin civilization from 13th to 19th century in Nigeria. And then the Mende from 19th to 20th century, that's in Sierra Leone. And then Congo from 19th to 20th century, and that's in Congo. So, yeah, we're all good? Okay, so first, I guess different architecture characteristics, or general key ideas. First, we'll do general key ideas about African art. So it's created around spirituality, the spirit world, and there's like a role of ancestors in life. And then they preferred wood. So there's some works that are done in ivory and metal, but they prefer wood. And then
Why do they prefer wood?
Because they are in Africa, they don't have access to metal. And the artwork is really like for decorative use. It has a purpose, and typically it's like ceremonial, so like masks and stuff. Thoughts get stuck in your teeth. And then the architecture is mud bricks, and so there are a few that are done in stone, but typically it's mud bricks. And so address some issues in African art, I guess. They believe that the ancestors never die and that they can be addressed. And many of the sculptures are representative of a family ancestor, and they're carved to venerate their spirits, so to like get their I said that venerate means regard with respect or to revere, so it's like a form of respecting them. And fertility of individual and land is highly regarded. And like patronage for artistic life, so the Africans rely on oral tradition to record their history, and so objects are not signed and they're not dated, and the written records of like the artistic activity in Africa comes from European and Islamic explorers. And so some artists, whenever artists worked on commissions, they lived with the patrons until they were done.
Excuse me.
And they had the same standard for training as in Europe. And then also East Africa, they liked body art more, like they were more of like doing the body art stuff. And in West Africa, was the bronze and wood sculptures. And this art wasn't really accepted in Europe as art until the 20th century. So next, on the architecture, like architecture characteristics, because we'll start off with architecture. The traditional African architecture is built to be as cool and comfortable as possible because they're living in Africa, like in the Sahara Desert, and where it's hot and stuff, so they want it to be cool. Most of it is made of mud bricks and walls, and mud brick walls and thatched roofs, and they had to be maintained during the rainy season, because if you're making something out of mud and it rains, that can be problematic. They generally avoid stonework. However, the Great Zimbabwe was made of stone, and also medieval Ethiopian churches were made of stone. They were like excavated out of the ground, and they're hollowed out. Sort of like those tombs, right? The Roman tombs. Were they Roman?
The Etruscan?
Yeah,
Yes.
like the Etruscan tombs.
Good connection, very good.
I don't actually have a picture of any of those churches, but there you go. Okay, so the Great Friday Mosque. It's in Mali, and it was built in the 13th century, remodeled in 1907. So it's made of adobe, which is baked mix of clay and